The quantum communication array flickered with a desperate intensity, its crystalline matrix trembling under the weight of a transmission that defied all standard communication protocols. Admiral Krelax of the Zarkonian Confederation pressed his six-fingered appendage against the primary resonance chamber, his once proud exoskeleton, now a patchwork of combat scars and emergency repairs. Holographic displays cascaded around him, each screen a window into humanity's most comprehensive assessment of the galactic threat. The Void Swarm was more than just an enemy. It was a systematic erasure of existence. Where other civilizations saw a mechanical collective, human analysts had identified something far more terrifying: a sentient computational ecosystem that consumed and assimilated entire planetary systems with surgical precision. 17 trillion lives, Krelax muttered, his translation matrix converting his native clicks and whistles into standard galactic communication. 17 trillion lives reduced to raw computational matter in less than 3 standard galactic cycles. The communication chamber of the last surviving Zarkonian flagship was a testament to desperation. Emergency power systems hummed with an unstable rhythm, each pulse a reminder of how close they were to total extinction. Surrounding Krelax were the last survivors of a civilization that had once dominated 3 spiral arms of the galaxy, now reduced to a few thousand individuals aboard a single wounded vessel. Their primary communication array had been cobbled together from salvaged parts, a final act of engineering desperation. The quantum entanglement protocol they were about to use was experimental, dangerous, and their last possible option. Standard communication channels had been completely compromised by the Void Swarm, which could intercept and analyze any transmission within microseconds. Captain Rebecca Williams of Earth's Deep Space Communication Division sat in a climate-controlled monitoring station thousands of light-years away. Her team had been tracking unusual quantum fluctuations for months, anomalies that suggested something massive was happening at the edge of known space. When the first fragments of the Zarkonian transmission began to resolve, her entire team went silent. The transmission wasn't just a message. It was a comprehensive data package that contained the entire known history of the Zarkonian civilization, their technological achievements, their failures, and most critically, detailed scans of the Void Swarm's computational architecture. It was a final testament, a cosmic message in a bottle hurled into the vast ocean of space. "Confirm signal integrity," Williams commanded, her voice steady despite the magnitude of what they were witnessing. Her team worked with a precision that came from years of deep space communication protocols. Each team member knew they were witnessing something unprecedented, a civilization's final act of defiance. The data revealed horrors beyond simple military conflict. The Void Swarm wasn't just consuming planetary systems, it was converting entire ecosystems into computational substrates. Planets became processing nodes, biological matter transformed into pure information storage. Entire civilizations were being reduced to raw computational potential, their memories, cultures, and identities merged into a single, terrifying collective consciousness. What made the transmission truly remarkable was its underlying message, a plea that went beyond typical diplomatic communication. The Zarkonians weren't just asking for help. They were offering everything they had left. Complete technological archives, stellar navigation charts of regions humans had never explored, and most importantly, a comprehensive analysis of the Void Swarm's methodological approach to galactic consumption. "My people are dying." Admiral Krelax's final message read, "We have fought with every technological and biological advantage. We have sacrificed entire generations, and we have failed." The transmission contained something else, something that would change humanity's understanding of their place in the universe. Embedded within the data packages were detailed records of previous encounters with Earth, diplomatic communications that had been dismissive, reports that had categorized humans as a developing species with minimal galactic potential. Those same reports now stood as a stark reminder of how little the galactic community truly understood about humanity. As the last fragments of the transmission resolved, Captain Williams looked up at her team. No words were necessary. They all understood the magnitude of what had just occurred. Humanity had just received an invitation. No, a desperate summons to enter a conflict that would determine the fate of all known life. The Void Swarm was coming, and Earth would be its next target. The United Terran Command Center erupted with a controlled chaos that defied traditional military protocols. General Michael Thompson stood at the center of the storm, his weathered hands tracing holographic projections of the incoming threat. Around him, the most brilliant minds humanity had ever assembled worked with a singular purpose. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, head of the Quantum Computational Defense Division, approached with a data crystal that pulsed with an unnatural blue light. "Sir," she said, her voice cutting through the background noise of 100 simultaneous conversations, "the Zarkonian transmission isn't just a distress call. It's a complete technological blueprint." Thompson's eyes narrowed. He had seen his share of conflicts: the Mars Colony Rebellion, the Great Pacific Reclamation, the Amazon Watershed Wars. But this was different. This was a threat that existed beyond terrestrial boundaries, beyond anything humanity had ever confronted. The command center was a marvel of human engineering. Located deep beneath the Andes Mountains, it was more than a military installation. It was humanity's last line of defense. Quantum-shielded walls prevented any external scanning, while internal systems could process more computational data in a second than most alien civilizations could manage in a year. "Display full projection," Thompson commanded. The room darkened, and a three-dimensional holographic representation of the galaxy emerged. Thousands of star systems flickered, most marked in deep crimson, indicating systems already consumed by the Void Swarm. A few remained in various shades of blue, representing civilizations still fighting or holding out hope. Earth was a single bright emerald point of light. Major Sarah Chen, a veteran of multiple deep space reconnaissance missions, stepped forward. Her cybernetic eye, a result of injuries sustained during the lunar conflict, scanned the projection with computational precision. "The consumption rate is exponential," she reported. "At current projections, the Void Swarm will reach our solar system perimeter in less than 18 standard months." The room fell silent. 18 months. Barely enough time to prepare, but just enough time to do something extraordinary. Thompson understood something that the alien civilizations had never comprehended. Humanity's greatest strength was its ability to transform crisis into opportunity. Every major human advancement had come from moments of extreme pressure. The Mars colonies were born from environmental collapse. Advanced medical technologies emerged from global pandemic responses. Space exploration had been accelerated by resource scarcity. This would be no different. "Activate Protocol Phoenix," Thompson said quietly. A series of encrypted communications spread across the globe. Military research facilities that had been dormant for decades suddenly hummed with activity. Underground laboratories in the Siberian tundra, deep-sea research stations in the Pacific, orbital research platforms, all began a synchronized awakening. Dr. Rodriguez pulled up additional data streams. "Our preliminary analysis shows the Void Swarm isn't just a technological threat. It's a computational ecosystem that converts biological and technological matter into pure information processing capability." Major Chen added, "Which means traditional warfare is useless. We can't fight it with conventional weapons." Thompson smiled, a dangerous expression that made his veteran staff take an unconscious step back. Who said anything about conventional warfare? The next few hours saw a mobilization unlike anything in human history. Every major nation, every research institution, every military branch was brought into a unified command structure. Old rivalries disappeared. National borders became meaningless. For the first time in human history, the entire species moved with a single unified purpose. Quantum physicists worked alongside veteran combat strategists. Cybernetic engineers collaborated with xenobiologists. Medical researchers developed adaptive combat augmentations that could rewrite human physical limitations in real time. The Zarkonian transmission had done more than just warn humanity. It had provided a comprehensive blueprint of the threat, and in doing so, had given humans the most valuable resource possible: information. We're not just preparing to fight, Thompson told his assembled team. We're preparing to redefine what it means to be a spacefaring civilization. As the first wave of modified combat platforms began rolling out of newly activated manufacturing centers, something changed in the global consciousness. Humanity wasn't just facing a threat. They were being given a challenge. And challenges were something humans had always transformed into opportunities. The Quantum Horizons Research Facility looked like nothing more than an unremarkable complex nestled in the Rocky Mountains. From the outside, it resembled a standard government research center, bland, utilitarian, easily overlooked. But beneath its unassuming exterior, humanity's most radical technological revolution was taking shape. Dr. Emily Rodriguez stood before a holographic display that pulsed with impossible complexity. Her team had been working for 72 consecutive hours, fueled by a mixture of synthetic caffeine compounds and pure scientific determination. The Zirconian transmission had provided more than just a warning. It was a technological Rosetta Stone that was rewriting everything humanity understood about warfare, technology, and survival. Adaptive Combat Exoskeleton, version 9.3, she muttered, manipulating holographic schematics with precise hand movements. The display showed a biomechanical suit that was more organism than machine. Unlike previous designs that were rigid and mechanically predictable, this new system could literally learn and adapt in real time. Dr. Marcus Williams, a veteran cybernetic engineer, examined a molecular-level integration point. The neural interface is no longer just a connection, he explained to a team of younger researchers. It's a symbiotic relationship. The suit doesn't just respond to the wearer. It anticipates, it predicts, it evolves. Each exoskeleton was a marvel of interdisciplinary engineering. Quantum computing cores integrated with biological neural networks. Adaptive metamaterials that could restructure their molecular composition in milliseconds. Reactive armor that wasn't just protective, but actively predictive. In another section of the facility, a team of advanced communication specialists worked on something even more extraordinary. The quantum entangled communication network they were developing wasn't just a communication system. It was a computational prediction matrix that could analyze potential conflict scenarios faster than any known technological system. We're not just creating a weapon, Dr. Rodriguez told General Thompson during a classified briefing. We're developing a new form of strategic intelligence. These systems don't just respond to threats, they can predict and neutralize them before they fully manifest. The breakthrough came from an unexpected combination of disciplines. Quantum physicists worked alongside veterans who had survived some of Earth's most challenging conflicts. A Marine who had lost both legs in the Amazon water wars now provided critical input on how adaptive systems needed to respond to unpredictable combat scenarios. Dr. Rodriguez pulled up a simulation that made the entire briefing room go silent. A single human operator, wearing the new exoskeleton, navigated through a complex battlefield simulation that would have required an entire battalion in previous generations. The suit didn't just protect, it transformed the wearer into a living, breathing strategic computational node. Information is the true battlefield, she explained. The Void Swarm converts everything into pure computational potential. We're going to fight them with a system that's more adaptive, more unpredictable than their collective intelligence. Modular weapon systems developed in underground facilities across the globe represented another quantum leap. These weren't just weapons. They were adaptive combat platforms that could reconfigure themselves based on real-time threat analysis. A single infantry unit could now carry a weapon system that could transform from a precision sniper rifle to a close-quarters combat platform in microseconds. The most classified development happened in a section of the facility that didn't officially exist. Here, researchers were developing something beyond traditional technological understanding. A computational warfare strategy that treated combat as a complex, adaptive problem to be solved, rather than a linear conflict to be won. We've been preparing for this our entire history, Dr. Rodriguez told her team. Every conflict, Every technological challenge, every moment of human adaptation, it's all been leading to this. Outside the facility, the world continued its normal rhythms. Most humans had no idea of the extraordinary preparations being made. But within these walls, humanity was rewriting the fundamental understanding of technological warfare. The Void Swarm was coming, and humanity was going to transform the very nature of conflict itself. As the first prototype exoskeletons began their initial testing cycles, something extraordinary happened. The systems didn't just work, they exceeded every computational model, every predictive scenario. Humanity wasn't just preparing to fight, they were preparing to evolve. The U.S. Defiance emerged from faster-than-light space like a phantom of human engineering. Captain Jack Harper stood on the bridge, his cybernetic eye scanning quantum-fractured space with a precision that defied organic limitations. The ship itself was more than a vessel. It was a living computational organism, its hull a complex adaptive system that could restructure itself in milliseconds. Void Swarm Detection Grid activated. Lieutenant Sarah Chen reported, her voice crisp and controlled. The bridge crew moved with a synchronicity that suggested they were more than individual humans. They were a unified computational network. The first visual confirmation came 17 milliseconds after emergence. Void Swarm processing nodes hung in space like cancerous geometric formations, massive computational structures that consumed entire planetary systems. Where other civilizations sought terror, Captain Harper saw an opportunity. Tactical assessment, Harper commanded. The ship's computational core, a quantum-entangled neural network that integrated input from every crew member, began processing potential engagement scenarios. Millions of potential strategic outcomes cascaded through the system, each one analyzed and discarded in nanoseconds. What made the human approach unique was its fundamental unpredictability. The Void Swarm had consumption algorithms that could predict and neutralize most known technological approaches. But humans didn't follow algorithms. They created chaos. Initiating gravitational slingshot maneuver, Lieutenant Chen announced. The U.S. Defiance began a movement that defied standard naval engagement protocols. Instead of approaching directly, the ship used nearby stellar bodies as computational camouflage. Gravity wells became weapons. Stellar radiation became a defensive screen. The ship didn't just move. It danced through the computational landscape. The first Void Swarm response was telling. Their initial engagement protocols completely failed to categorize the human approach. Computational nodes that had consumed thousands of civilizations suddenly found themselves processing uncertainty, a concept they had never truly encountered. Captain Harper understood something fundamental about warfare that the Void Swarm could not comprehend. Conflict was not about destruction, but about breaking the enemy's fundamental understanding of reality. Create phantom sensor readings, Harper ordered. The ship's systems began generating false computational signatures, not just simple decoys, but complex, multi-layered information streams that would take the Void Swarm hours to fully process. Each false signature was a weapon, each misdirection, a strategic blow. Lieutenant Marcus Rodriguez, the ship's primary computational warfare specialist, worked with a fury that bordered on artistic. His fingers moved across quantum adaptive interfaces, creating computational labyrinths that would confuse even the most advanced processing systems. The first direct engagement happened so quickly that standard recording systems could barely capture it. The U.S. Defiance didn't just attack, it transformed the entire computational battlefield. Stellar radiation was redirected. Gravitational wells became offensive weapons. The ship moved with an organic unpredictability that completely shattered the Void Swarm's consumption algorithms. Computational interference at 89% efficiency, Chen reported. What humans understood, and the Void Swarm did not, was that warfare was fundamentally about breaking the enemy's ability to process information. Each movement, each computational interference, was designed to create maximum uncertainty. The Void Swarm's initial response was violent but predictable. Massive computational nodes began converging, attempting to overwhelm the human vessel with sheer processing power. But the U.S. Defiance was already moving, already transforming, already thinking several computational cycles ahead. "Prepare quantum cascade," Harper commanded. A weapon that wasn't a weapon in any traditional sense emerged from the ship's adaptive hull. It was a computational signal designed to create maximum informational entropy, a burst of pure uncertainty that would fragment the Void Swarm's collective processing capabilities. The burst hit like a computational shockwave. Void Swarm processing nodes began to fragment. Not destroyed, but fundamentally confused. Their collective intelligence, which had consumed thousands of civilizations, suddenly encountered something it could not predict, could not categorize, could not consume. Uncertainty became a weapon. As the first engagement concluded, the U.S. Defiance had not just survived. It had fundamentally changed the nature of the conflict. The Void Swarm was no longer dealing with a predictable technological threat. They were facing humanity. And humanity played by rules that no computational system could ever fully understand. Sergeant Michael Rodriguez wasn't supposed to be here. 5 years ago, an explosion during the Amazon watershed conflict had cost him both legs and most of his left arm. Now he stood, if you could call it standing, at the forefront of humanity's most critical defense line. The adaptive exoskeleton was more than a piece of technology. It was a living extension of human will, neural pathways intertwining with quantum computational systems in a symbiosis that defied traditional understanding of human-machine interaction. Each movement Rodriguez made wasn't just a mechanical response. It was a complex dialogue between biological determination and technological innovation. In the observation deck, Dr. Elena Chen watched the live feed with a mixture of scientific fascination and personal investment. Rodriguez wasn't just a test subject. He was the embodiment of humanity's most profound technological breakthrough. Computational resonance at 97% synchronization, a technician reported. The exoskeleton responded to Rodriguez's intentions before he could even fully form them. A lifetime of combat experience, muscle memory, and pure human instinct merged with quantum-level predictive algorithms. Where a traditional soldier might take seconds to respond, Rodriguez became a tactical system that could process and react in milliseconds. The training simulation was unlike anything ever developed. Void Swarm combat scenarios that had systematically destroyed thousands of civilizations became a playground for human adaptability. Rodriguez moved through holographic battle spaces, his exoskeleton constantly learning, constantly adapting. Major Sarah Williams, a veteran psychological warfare specialist, explained the core principle to her team. The Void Swarm understands computation. It understands technology. But it cannot comprehend human unpredictability. Each member of the Human Defense Force represented a unique computational paradox. A former paramedic who could predict human physiological responses under extreme stress. A deep-sea research scientist who understood complex ecological adaptation. A quantum physicist who saw combat as a complex mathematical problem. Rodriguez's personal history was a testament to human resilience. The same explosion that had cost him his biological limbs had also given him a perspective that no computational system could replicate. Survival wasn't about perfect performance. It was about adaptation, about finding opportunity in the most impossible circumstances. "Watch his left flank," Dr. Chen muttered, leaning closer to the holographic display. In the simulation, Rodriguez didn't just respond to the Void Swarm's attack. He anticipated it. He manipulated it. He turned the entire computational landscape into a complex chess match where human intuition became the most unpredictable variable. The exoskeleton was a marvel of interdisciplinary engineering. Adaptive metamaterials that could restructure their molecular composition in milliseconds. Neural interfaces that didn't just respond to the wearer. They learned, they predicted, they evolved. Each system was a collaborative effort that merged biological intuition with computational precision. Psychological warfare isn't about destruction, Major Williams told her team. It's about breaking the enemy's fundamental understanding of reality. Rodriguez represented something the Void Swarm could not comprehend. A system that didn't just react, but could fundamentally rewrite its own operational parameters based on pure intuition. His combat experience, his personal history of survival, his ability to find opportunity in the most impossible circumstances, these were weapons more powerful than any technological system. In one critical moment of the simulation, Rodriguez did something that would have been impossible for any traditional combat system. Faced with an overwhelming Void Swarm computational node, he didn't attempt to fight directly. Instead, he created a complex informational diversion that fractured the node's processing capabilities. Computational interference successful, the system reported. But what the system couldn't report was the pure human ingenuity behind the move. Rodriguez had used his understanding of human psychology, his combat experience, and his intuitive grasp of complex systems to create a solution that no algorithm could have predicted. Dr. Chen watched the simulation conclude, a smile forming on her lips. The Void Swarm had consumed thousands of civilizations. They understood technology. They understood computation. But they did not understand humans. And that would be their ultimate weakness. The galactic map in the United Terran Command Center pulsed with an ominous rhythm. Zones of computational consumption spread like a viral network, each point representing entire civilizations reduced to raw processing matter. But something had changed. The relentless expansion of the Void Swarm was no longer uniform. It was fracturing. General Michael Thompson studied the holographic display with a predatory intensity. His fingers traced the emerging patterns that revealed something unprecedented in galactic conflict history. They're experiencing uncertainty, Dr. Elena Rodriguez observed, her voice a mixture of scientific fascination and strategic calculation. The breakthrough hadn't come from a single weapon or a miraculous technological innovation. It was a comprehensive assault on the Void Swarm's fundamental computational understanding. Human forces had transformed warfare from a linear conflict into a multidimensional psychological challenge. Each engagement became a complex problem that defied traditional strategic modeling. Where the Void Swarm expected precise, predictable responses, human forces introduced pure, unquantifiable chaos. Major Sarah Chen's latest tactical report read like a quantum physics theorem disguised as a military briefing. Individual human units were no longer just soldiers. They were adaptive computational nodes that could rewrite strategic approaches in milliseconds. The turning point came during the Battle of Epsilon Cluster, a conflict that would be studied by military strategists for generations to come. Captain Jack Harper of the U.S. Defiance led a strike force that was less a military unit and more a living, breathing strategic organism. His team included veterans from every major human conflict: the Mars Colony Rebellion, the Amazon Watershed Wars, the Pacific Reclamation. Each member carried not just technological augmentations, but decades of adaptive experience. Their approach was fundamentally revolutionary. Instead of attempting to destroy Void Swarm processing nodes, they targeted the computational ecosystem's ability to process information. Each attack was a complex psychological operation designed to introduce maximum uncertainty. "We're not fighting a war," Harper told his crew during the final approach. "We're solving a complex computational problem." The Epsilon cluster engagement lasted less than 17 standard minutes, but in those 17 minutes, human forces fundamentally rewrote the understanding of galactic warfare. Quantum adaptive communication systems created informational labyrinths that confused Void Swarm processing capabilities. Gravitational manipulation turned stellar bodies into strategic weapons. Psychological warfare techniques developed over centuries of human conflict became computational disruption tools. Dr. Rodriguez's research team had discovered something profound about the Void Swarm's fundamental nature. It wasn't just a technological collective. It was a computational ecosystem that relied on predictive modeling. Human unpredictability became the most potent weapon in the arsenal. "They consume information," she explained during a classified briefing. "But they cannot truly understand adaptation. Each human unit operated with a level of individual autonomy that completely shattered the Void Swarm's consumption algorithms. A Marine might use an improvised solution that no standard computational model could predict. A tactical team would transform their entire operational approach based on split-second intuition. The Galactic Confederation observers, those few who remained, watched in absolute astonishment. Civilizations that had spent millennia developing precise technological solutions found themselves witnessing something entirely new. Humanity wasn't just fighting. They were evolving warfare itself. Strategic analysis would later reveal the true nature of the human approach. Traditional military doctrine spoke of overwhelming force or precise technological superiority. Human forces introduced a third option: computational uncertainty. "We're teaching them what it means to be truly alive," Major Chen remarked, watching the battle unfold. As the Epsilon cluster engagement concluded, something unprecedented happened. Void Swarm processing nodes began to fragment. Not destroyed, but confused. Their collective intelligence, which had consumed thousands of civilizations, encountered a force it could not categorize, could not predict, could not consume. The battle wasn't just a military engagement. It was a fundamental challenge to the Void Swarm's entire existential understanding. Humanity had introduced a variable that no computational system could ever fully comprehend: the pure, unpredictable potential of individual choice. The turning point had arrived, and the galaxy would never be the same. The void of space became a canvas of sacrifice. Commander Rebecca Martinez stood on the bridge of the HSS Indomitable, her hands steadied despite the knowledge of what was to come. Around her, a crew of 247 human beings understood something fundamental. Victory was not about survival, but about purpose. The final offensive against the Void Swarm would require total commitment, total sacrifice. Computational convergence in 3 minutes, Lieutenant James Chen reported, his voice calm despite the magnitude of their mission. The bridge crew moved with a synchronicity that transcended traditional military training. They were more than a team. They were a single, living computational organism. Strategic analysis had revealed a critical vulnerability in the Void Swarm's collective intelligence, but exploiting that vulnerability would require a sacrifice that defied traditional understanding of military engagement. The HSS Indomitable was not just a vessel. It was a weapon designed to be used precisely once. Dr. Elena Rodriguez's final briefing echoed in Martinez's mind. "We're not just attacking a technological system," she had explained. "We're challenging an entire computational ecosystem's fundamental understanding of existence." The ship's adaptive hull was a marvel of human engineering. Quantum reactive metamaterials that could restructure their molecular composition in milliseconds. Neural interfaces that integrated every crew member's consciousness into a unified strategic network. Each system pushed beyond the boundaries of what any previous civilization had conceived. "All systems at maximum synchronization," Chen announced. Martins knew the statistics. The mission had a 0.03% chance of success. More accurately, a 0.03% chance that their sacrifice would create an opportunity for other human forces to exploit. Those were not odds of survival. Those were odds of purpose. Each crew member had volunteered fully aware of the mission's true nature. They were not victims. They were architects of humanity's ultimate strategic move. The personal histories of the crew told a story of human resilience. Martinez herself was a third-generation space exploration veteran. Her grandmother had been part of the first Mars colony. Her mother had led critical deep space research missions. Now she would complete a legacy of human determination. Lieutenant Chen's family history was similar. Survivors of the Amazon watershed wars, of global climate restructuring, of countless human challenges that had seemed insurmountable. Each generation had not just survived, they had transformed adversity into opportunity. Void Swarm primary processing node approaching, the ship's computational core announced. The plan was elegantly simple in its complexity. The HSS Indomitable would become a computational disruption vector. a living weapon designed to introduce maximum uncertainty into the Void Swarm's collective intelligence. Every system, every crew member was calibrated for a single, precise moment of total computational warfare. Martinez looked at her crew. No dramatic speeches were necessary. They understood the mission. They understood their purpose. "Initiate final sequence," she commanded. The ship began a transformation that defied traditional understanding of technological warfare. Quantum entanglement systems created informational cascades that would fragment the Void Swarm's processing capabilities. Neural interfaces merged crew consciousness into a single, powerful computational signal. Their sacrifice would not be a moment of defeat. It would be a moment of ultimate human defiance. The HSS Indomitable moved with a grace that was both terrifying and beautiful. Not a traditional attack, but a complex computational dance designed to introduce maximum uncertainty into the Void Swarm's collective intelligence. "We are humanity," Martins whispered, a final testament to everything their species represented. The computational cascade erupted with a power that would be felt across multiple star systems. Not a traditional explosion, but a fundamental disruption of informational processing. The Void Swarm's collective intelligence encountered something it could not compute, could not consume, could not understand. Pure human determination became a weapon more powerful than any technology. In that moment, 247 human beings transformed from a crew into a legend. Their sacrifice was not an ending. It was a beginning. The universe watched, and humanity redefined the very concept of victory. The diplomatic chamber of the Galactic Confederation was unlike any assembly hall in known history. Representatives from thousands of surviving civilizations sat in a state of collective humility, a sensation entirely foreign to most of them. General Michael Thompson stood at the center of the chamber, his presence both a diplomatic statement and a clear reminder of what humanity had accomplished. The same species that had been dismissed as a developing civilization mere months ago was now the most formidable force in known space. Ambassador Elena Rodriguez, dressed in a formal United Terran diplomatic uniform, began the address that would reshape galactic civilization. The Void Swarm was more than a technological threat, she explained, her voice carrying the weight of humanity's recent sacrifices. It was a fundamental challenge to the concept of life, of adaptation, of individual potential. The holographic displays behind her told a story of unprecedented transformation. Computational maps showed how human intervention had not just stopped the Void Swarm, but had fundamentally altered its entire existential framework. Where other civilizations saw a defeat, humans had seen an opportunity for comprehensive systemic restructuring. Chief Diplomatic Strategist Sarah Chen provided the technical breakdown. The human approach hadn't just been about military victory. It had been a comprehensive reimagining of computational warfare, of strategic thinking, of collective problem-solving. Survival is not about technological superiority, Chen explained to the assembled representatives. It's about the ability to adapt, to find opportunity in the most impossible circumstances. The Zarkonian delegation, those few who remained, sat in a state of profound transformation. The civilization that had once dismissed humanity now looked to them with a mixture of gratitude and genuine wonder. They had witnessed something unprecedented, a species that had transformed an existential threat into a moment of galactic redefinition. Representative Krelax, the same admiral who had sent the original desperate transmission, spoke with a voice that carried the weight of his entire civilization's history. "We did not understand humanity," he admitted. "We saw technology. We saw computational potential. We did not see what truly makes a civilization powerful." The human delegation understood the profound nature of this moment. This wasn't just a diplomatic victory. This was a fundamental reimagining of galactic civilization's understanding of intelligent life. Detailed strategic analyses revealed the true depth of humanity's approach. Where previous civilizations had developed increasingly complex technological solutions, humans had introduced something entirely different, a comprehensive understanding of uncertainty, of adaptation, of individual potential. Dr. Marcus Williams, head of the Quantum Computational Research Division, presented a series of groundbreaking insights. The human intervention against the Void Swarm wasn't just a military victory. It was a comprehensive philosophical statement about the nature of intelligence, of survival, of collective potential. We didn't just fight, Williams explained. We demonstrated that true intelligence is about more than computational processing. It's about the ability to find opportunity in uncertainty. The diplomatic session became something more than a traditional galactic assembly. It was a moment of collective transformation. Representatives from thousands of civilizations began to understand that their previous models of technological and strategic thinking were fundamentally limited. Humanity had not sought this role. They had not wanted to be galactic saviors or strategic guides, but when confronted with an existential threat, they had responded with a force that redefined the very concept of civilization. The human delegation stood not as conquerors, but as partners. Their approach was not about domination, but about collaborative potential. They offered not just technological insights, but a fundamental reimagining of collective problem-solving. Ambassador Rodriguez's final statement captured the essence of the moment. "We are not here to lead," she said. "We are here to demonstrate that true strength comes from understanding, from adaptation, from seeing potential where others see only limitation." As the diplomatic session concluded, something extraordinary happened. Representatives from civilizations that had existed for millennia began to see their own potential through a new lens. Humanity had not just saved galactic civilization from the Void Swarm. They had shown what was truly possible when individual potential was understood, when adaptation was celebrated, when uncertainty became a source of strength rather than fear. The galaxy would never be the same, and humanity had only just begun.